Thanks for having my back, guys.
Rangers, we need to combine, now! Zord, combine! Here we go!
Samurai Megazord! We are united!
Let's finish this.
Oh! No way!
Katana power!
Bye-bye, Nylock.
Oh no! I'm all punched out! Samurai Strike! Uh-oh!
We knocked him out!
Amazing!
Sure was.
Though it's not seen in the series, the Mega Blade set includes this accessory clip-on belt thingy. You can clip it onto your belt or the side of your pants, doesn't really matter. It's made of PVC, it's a single piece, we've seen these before. And all you do is, here's the speaker right here, it's this thing right here, so what you do is you hang it from your belt, you wiggle that thing in, you twist it down, and then it just hangs like that, okay? In order to take it out, you twist it 90 and you pull it out. By the way, I've tried it 5 times now, trying to do that, just hanging it from my pants, or I don't wear a belt, so hanging it from the side of my pants, and yeah, it just grips it way too tight. So either you're going to want to, you know, for collectors and customizers, you're going to want to open up that hole a little bit, but it will hold it. Just it's kind of difficult to pull out. So enough of this thing. Let's get on with the main event, bitches, the Samurai Mega Blade, or as it shall henceforth be known, the Mega Blade. There's not a whole lot of detail involved here that you're not going to see in both modes. So really the only differences are this is the locking kind of pedestal that lets the toy know it's in sword mode or control stick, joystick mode. I don't know, this thing's a joy in either mode. Anyways, here's the lock right here, this button right here, which you're not going to see. You're actually going to be pushing this button, but I'll get to that later. And then here's the little electronic spring-up tab that lets the toy know. It's a smart toy, by the way. Lets it know when it's in joystick or sword mode. That's really the only thing you're going to see that's different. Oh yeah, and then this thing, which I'll get to in a moment here. Trigger is right here. Belt attachment point, speaker, on-off switch. Battery compartment takes 2 AAA batteries already provided. And that's about it. One thing I want to comment on. I turned 29 years old on September 23rd, 2011. And I'm 6'2" and a quarter and more than 2 bills. And look how much space I've got there for my hand. Look at that. I can actually avoid touching the trigger altogether if I want to. So for an adult collector, you will have no problems hanging on to this thing. And honestly, why would you want to take your hands off of it anyways? So that's it for the wraparound of the Mega Blade. Now let's actually start playing around with this thing, eh? Okay, take number 8. 20 minutes ago I said let's get this party started. I turned on the electronics and I flubbed up 7 other times. So I'm going to spare myself the humiliation and not turn the electronics on, at least until I do the wraparound and the transformation and things like that. To activate the transformation, you're going to pull this little lever right here. Now the spring in here is not quite that powerful that you can hold it vertically like this and then have the sword fold upright. It's not quite that strong. Matter of fact, that's about the best you're going to get. So what you're going to want to do, and I would just don't mess with it. Don't put it under that kind of trouble. Just please, don't be an idiot about it. And describe this to your kids, too, because they won't get it, okay? They're going to want to hold it straight, and then they're going to do this crazy flipping thing with it. Just don't mess with it, okay? Don't turn it down like this. Don't transform it like this, okay? What you want to do is hold it sideways, like this, okay? This is how you want to hold the Mega Blade when you're transforming, okay? At least that's what I would advise, okay? Because otherwise you start getting fractured stress points, and just don't mess with it, okay? Turn the Mega Blade sideways and then transform it, okay? And that is how you transform the Mega Blade right there. To transform it back, push this back in. There's a little button right here. You push that, snap it back together, solidly preferably, and that's it. Want to see it again? Okay. I can't whip my hand around that fast. And so that's it for the transformation into sword mode. In my opinion, this is a very well detailed, futuristic samurai blade sword thingy. Appropriately cybernetic in a bunch of different places. The blade tip here, just the gray part, and the hook down here are both made of PVC. The rest is ABS. Details on the opposite side, not really that different. Actually, they're more or less identical on both sides, with the exception of the battery compartment, replacing the speaker, and then you've got the belt attachment point, not having a belt attachment point on that side. So that's it for the details of the Mega Blade. Man, this thing is huge. Now, let's get on with the electronic details. Once again, speaker, on-off switch. When you pull the trigger, you will only get one sound effect out of it in control stick mode. This sound will do one of two things. A, it'll repeat for about 18 or 20 cycles, something like that. Or B, when you transform it, it will automatically cut itself off and do something else kind of interesting, which I will now demonstrate. That's actually pretty loud for a Bandai America toy. I'm quite surprised how loud that is. Sound effects are thus. Unless you, in which case you get and finally you get that rocks! And it's just the same thing over and over. And it's just the same thing over and over and over and over. So you get 4 sound effects out of this toy in sword mode. However, you can choose which ones happen when you pull on that thing. That's pretty awesome, actually. You change it back by squeezing this button. Put it back together. That's it. Now what happens if you don't squeeze the trigger there? Let's find out. That's it. And also, holding the trigger down does not do anything. Just had breakfast about a half hour ago. Cheerios. Man, we got a lot of Cheerios stockpiled. Nothing. That's it for the Samurai Mega Blade. I don't know why it is I keep doing this. Probably because it's the only reason it fits in frame. But, I don't know, it looks pretty awesome on my wall. I think. Even though Power Rangers Samurai has been on the air since, what is it? Was it February or March of 2011, and here it is, late September? I haven't been paying it much attention at all. I've been reading online and talking with people online, and they say that the show is actually quite faithful to the source material, albeit, you know, it's been generalized in a couple of significant ways in order to be able to import the footage from Samurai Sentai Shinken-Oh, but, you know, the plots and even how the characters work has been pretty close. Some would even say closer than any other Power Rangers series since it all began in 1993. But I haven't been paying Power Rangers much attention lately because I've pretty much sworn off the franchise since 2003 when I switched over to Super Sentai. The quality of product is just so much better in my opinion. I think the old term would be Sentai snob. I guess that's what I am. I'm not sure. And this also includes the toy lines. I have been paying little or no attention to the toy lines since they originally came out. I have seen the Deluxe Samurai Megazord. I've even seen the recently issued Claw Battle Zord. And I've seen the Spin Blade, which is an absolute joke. I've seen the Samuraizer, which is bootleg. I've seen... The only toy from Power Rangers Samurai that I've even remotely considered was that, what was it, 9 or 10 inch red battleized Samurai Ranger, which I saw yesterday in the Walmart when I picked this thing up. I actually might get that. That looks kind of nice. But anyways, I haven't been paying the Power Rangers Samurai toy line any more attention than that. I mean, that's been it. I honestly do not care. People have been asking me, am I going to review the Samurai Megazord? Am I going to review the Spin Blade? Am I going to review the Samuraizer? Am I going to review any of the action figures? Well, first of all, the Samuraizer is bootleg quality compared to the Shoto phone, which I already was not impressed with. I already have the DX Shinken-Oh. Why would I need to rip off Samurai Megazord? Even if it does have slightly better proportions to it. And why on earth would I want to get the barely 1 foot long Spin Blade when I already have the, what is this, 16, 18 inches long Shinken-Maru? I mean, it just makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, this is just clearly a superior product. And oh, by the way, there's a ton of other toys from Shinken-Oh that I have that include secret discs that I can plug in. How many secret discs, or whatever they're called in Power Rangers Samurai, have they come up with? So far as I'm aware, none. It was just the Lion disc from the Spin Blade, and that's it. So, you know, I'm not going to waste my time. And the other thing that has really been a put-off for me as far as Power Rangers is concerned, and it was a concern of mine for many years before I left it in 2003, was that there were a lot of repaints of toys. Like, they would take this mobile command base, whatever it is, they'd repaint it up in the newest season's colors and decals and whatnot, and try to pass it off as a brand new toy. And it usually just failed. Or they would come up with other play sets and action figures and vehicles. The majority of toys that you saw and or see on the shelves were never even in the show. And it was just, it was in very bad taste. So, that I'm not following the TV series, that I'm not following the toy line, that I'm not looking up anything online is nothing big as far as I'm concerned. Now, when I initially saw the Samurai Mega Blade, my initial reaction was, oh great, another toy that they're making that does not appear in the show. I mean, the Mega Blade was most certainly not in Samurai Sentai Shinken-Oh, that's for sure. So I just ignored it. I mean, yeah, at first blush, it's just kind of, okay, it's got some nice techie details on it, blah, 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 blah. But, 1, it's not in the show, and 2, I'm not following the toy line, and 3, I don't care. You know, I'm busy collecting other things right now. But I kept hearing from people and talking with them and listening to other reviewers, and they just kept saying what an awesome little toy this is. And you know what? That's actually one of the things they talked about right there, is that it's actually not a little toy. Let me show you something here. This is actually pretty... how can I do this? Squeaky tripod. Let me show you how big this thing is. Get this thing out of the way. This is just crap. Standard meter stick. Yardstick. It's not a meter stick because it comes in inches. This toy is... without the hook thing, by the way. I'm not including that. Just to the end of the black thing there. This toy is 25 inches long. That is huge! This is, unless I'm much mistaken, the Samurai Mega Blade is perhaps the largest role-play toy, you know, as far as length is concerned, that has ever come out of Bandai America. And I mean ever. Dare I say even the largest role-play toy in Super Sentai as well. By contrast, the largest Super Sentai toy that I have as far as length is concerned is the Baku Laser in sword mode. This is the longest one I've got. It's at 19 inches, okay? I briefly considered getting the Rekka Daizanto from Shinken-Oh. Yeah, it looked kind of interesting, but it also looked really expensive. So, I'm actually still on the fence about that one, even 2 years later. I think that might be the... It's known as the Fire Smasher in Power Rangers Samurai, by the way. I think that might be the longest role-play toy in Power Rangers. Combining blasters notwithstanding, by the way. In that case, you'd have to bring up a couple of others. But anyways, this thing is... I mean, what did I say? I said like 20... What was it? 25 inches, something like that? That's huge! That's ginormous! Absolutely... That is very, very impressive. This, I don't have one, but I have seen them in those, what are they called, those specialized cutlery stores or whatever they are. I've seen, are they imitation or real? I don't know, katanas and, what are they called, wakizakis or whatever they are, which is the smaller secondary blade that they have. I've seen those before in person. I've even got to handle one once, under supervision of the store guy. And dare I say that this is 1:1 scale with a katana. I mean, seriously, this thing is huge. It's very, very, very impressive. And by the way, I already mentioned it's nice to be able to have a lot of space in there, and I can actually hang on to this thing and not touch the trigger at all. That, to me, is an impressive accomplishment right there. Was it 6'2" and 1/4 and $2 plus weight? To be able to hang on to something like that that's meant for kids, very, very impressive. Of course, that means now that kids would be able to dual wield this thing. Very, 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 very awesome. And the other thing that people were going on and on about, which I actually overlooked and did not notice until I started doing research for it again about a month ago, is the auto transformation that people love. And you know what? This is pretty damn impressive. Let's see if I can do this here. That is very, very badass. The only... I'd have to think about it, and forgive me for not researching ahead of time. I only opened this up about an hour ago. But the only... Well, in my case, the only auto transformation weapon from Power Rangers, or rather Super Sentai, that I have is the Survey Buster from 2006's Go-Go Sentai Bokenger. The barrel here opens up, but then it's an auto-transformation weapon. So, yeah, and that was actually one of the things that made this appealing, is that it did auto-transform. Yeah, it didn't do much otherwise, but, yeah, auto-transformation, always badass. But two things surprised me about that here. One, this toy is huge, and two, the amount of transformation. It's not just a little click. You know, you press something down here, it's a little click. No, I mean the whole goddamn blade transforms. That's very bold. That's very daring in this age of, you know, worrying about toys that are going to hurt kids who are using them, and, you know, being conscious about what age limit that you can put on these toys. And by the way, this toy is recommended for ages 4 and up in the United States of America. See, it even says so right there. Ages 4 plus, assistant, cert number 360. Oh, go to Bandai.com. Oh, by the way, I actually had to tear this box apart in order to get the instructions and the little belt clip thing. You know what? This is not worth it. And the instructions are, ooh, look, you unscrew this to get to the battery compartment. and you pull on this and pull on that. You know, in Japan, there's a couple of occasions where they've actually had the instructions on the actual box itself, the back of the box. This toy is simple enough. I think they could have saved a couple of dollars by not printing out the instructions on a separate piece of paper. All you got to do, folks, look, all you got to do, pull on that, that's it. Push that back in, push it down. It's so simple. It's only 3 steps. And oh, by the way, unscrew that thing right there, and that's it. Waste of paper, and oh yeah, complete waste of time, and I had a hell of a time. I didn't look at the instructions, I didn't need the instructions, and I really don't like that plastic belt clip thingy. So, you know, tear up the box if you want to, but I'm just saying it's a waste of time to even go for them. So, just leave them in there, you're better off. So, the auto transformation and the size of this toy in both modes is what's really impressed a lot of people, and I have to say, I've fallen for it as well. And once again, just to reiterate, reiterate? Is that the word? I don't care. Very nice surface detail, especially up in here, in here, in here, all along the handle here. Very nice, typical stuff. A lot of people have been asking what, speaking of details, have been asking what these notches back here are for. We have not seen what they're going to do with it for the second half of Power Rangers Samurai in comparison to Shinken-Oh, but a lot of people are speculating that what they're going to do is they're going to have the Power Rangers equivalent of the Ironmaru is going to stick on the back here in Zord mode. Somehow it's going to stick back here. It's going to lock into place. So that's the rumor. That's the speculation. Honestly, I don't know. You know, as of the end of September 2011, we don't have an answer to that yet. There's rumor going around at this point and nothing but. So, again, details are nice. No one can figure out what that is. Those may end up being nothing at all, because I don't see how, yeah, there may be slots there, but I don't see how anything could fit on here, even if it was to transform. So, yeah, there's that. Obviously, I did a video review of the Shinken-Oh, which you can watch after you're done watching this video, so I don't have to go over a lot of the things. But one of the problems that I had with the Shinken-Oh is that no matter how much you spun this thing up, and then again, oh, by the way, that sound and the one in the Samurai Mega Blade, exactly the same. There's actually a lot of sounds that they imported from the Shinken-Oh over into the Mega Blade, so go back and listen to those and you'll find it. But anyways, one of the problems that I had is that when you spin it up, you know, double the Mojikara output or whatever it is, you couldn't determine at that point what kind of sound it was going to make. They just randomly play based on whatever calculations this toy's computer makes or whatever it has in here. But with the Mega Blade, oops, Bandai America for 2012, you don't need to make them quite that loud. But anyways, for this toy, if you just, all you have to do is keep track of how many times you pulled on this thing, and then, you know, you get the sound out of it that you want. See, there's the Shishi Origami roar sound effect again. I can't think of what it's called in Japan. I wouldn't be able to pronounce it even if I could think of it. So anyways, it's actually nice to be able to control. By the way, this is an unusual switch, to be able to switch between the things. That is unusual, but yeah, it's unusual, but it works. And speaking of unusual, but it works. Ordinarily, I would count that as something you'd find in like a Chinese knockoff of whatever toy franchise. It didn't have to be Power Rangers necessarily, but for some reason, I lulled. That actually works right there. So being able to choose the sounds that you want and having the little samurai dance sitting in there, that's pretty funny. And by the way, I just noticed this as I was sitting here, but there's the kanji. Let's see, I'm trying to get a reflection here. I'm failing. There it is. See that right there? It looks like the kanji for fire. Not perfect, but, you know, close enough for Power Ranger Samurai, I suppose. I just noticed that. Transformation sounds between each of them. That's pretty cool. I'm going to turn this off just in case. So those are the really strong points of the Samurai Megablade. It's actually quite impressive for a Bandai America toy. However, there is one thing about the Samurai Megablade that I don't quite get. And I can understand the transition in bringing Shinken-Oh over to the Power Rangers franchise would have made for some difficult transitions. I mean, a lot of people were wondering if it was even possible because they use kanji and mojikara, and there's so much Japanese culture reference. I mean, Shinken-Oh was pretty much nothing but Japanese culture. And a lot of people were wondering how the hell are they going to bring this thing over and generalize it. Well, turns out they did a lot of things, including changing the cockpit of the Samurai Megazord. But there's one thing that strikes me as a little unusual, perhaps an oversight of some kind. Really, the only thing about the Shinken-Maru that I liked was that thing, which is known as a praxinoscope. I like the spinning animation and thing like that. Now, I can understand them losing the praxinoscope. Heaven forbid that might have been a little too expensive, you know? So, I won't complain about that. But the one thing I will complain about, and they actually could have handled this in a number of different ways. I'm not going to list them here, but I've actually had some theories about how it is this could work. One of the things I don't understand is why it is they denied the Samurai Megablade use of the Hiden discs, whatever these are called in Power Rangers Samurai. I don't know. I thought it was very cool that the the Shinken-Oh's retained use of the Hiden discs, whether they were fighting by themselves or if they were in the Shinken-Oh or the Daikai Shinken-Oh, on and on and on, blah 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 blah. I didn't quite like the arrangement of the control sticks. They just hang on to it like this, and the disc would stay down here, and they'd brush it, and then this thing would move. Actually, it wouldn't even really move around. That didn't make a lot of sense, but, you know, I'm a little late to be discussing that. But the thing that I don't get, though, is in Power Rangers Samurai, and by the way, I love the fact that this is a control stick. That's cool. The toy, not so good at being a control stick, because actually that is one of, I'm going to get off topic here real quick. One of the things I wish they would have done with the Megablade is it would have made different sounds in control stick mode. That would have been something that I wanted to see. That is one of my complaints about it. But anyways, in Power Rangers Samurai, they put it into the control stick into the column, whatever it is, and then they place the disc, the Samurai disc, whatever it is, down here, and they just have to spin it like this while they hold on to it like this, and then they control the Samurai Megazord like this, or their individual folding Zords, whatever the case is. I don't quite like that arrangement. Honestly, it would have been a little more interesting, I think, if they had, let's see, if they'd found some way of getting the disc to maybe stick out the back here. Let's see, I'm trying to wedge it in here so that you could spin the disc like this, or maybe put it on the side so you could pull back. Ooh, so you could bump the camera. So you could pull backwards on it and it would still turn. You wouldn't be able to see the pattern unless you put it onto an actual spin blade. You know, the was it the little 12, 14-inch thing or whatever it is. You wouldn't have been able to do that, but at least somehow incorporate a Samurai disc into the Megablade. I think that was something that was lost in the transition between Power Rangers Samurai and Shinken-Oh. Or at least the way it transitioned. Like, I like this arrangement here, but I think that they kind of shot themselves in the foot by somehow not incorporating the Hiden discs into it. I mean, kids these days, if they have a spin blade and then they have the Mega Blade, all they're going to do is they're just going to set that right there, and then they're going to hang on to this and they put it in their lap and they're going to jerk this thing around. And that's all they're going to do with it. So, yeah, missed opportunity right there. They didn't even have to have a wide variety of discs, you know? I took the toy out of its box. Well, not really box, whatever. I opened up the toy for the first time about an hour ago, and about 6 minutes into playing around with it and seeing all the things it could do, which honestly isn't very much, my mom called up the stairs and asked what was going on. So I brought it down and showed it to her. She's not a Power Rangers or Super Sentai fan, you know. Just what'd you get in the mail? What are you playing around with up there? I'll show you. And so I show her control stick mode, and oh, okay, that's nice. And then I unintentionally pulled the trigger, which set off the timing thing there. And then I pulled on this, and her eyes went bug-eyed. She's like, "Oh my God!" And I was like, "Yeah, that is pretty huge." And she said, "That thing looks dangerous." I mean, her eyes practically popped out of her head when she saw the size of this thing and what all it could do and the different sound effects that she would make. And she's just, "That thing looks dangerous." Well, you know what, Mother? I absolutely agree with that statement. It looks dangerous. Or, in the word of collectors, bad-ass. Unfortunately, I've spent a lot more time on this commentary than I would like to, but I've been kind of blending in my opinions of Power Rangers Samurai overall, so sorry for getting a little off topic about those things, and because I kind of figured this is the only time I'll be talking about any toy from the show. I mean, this right now is the only toy that I intend to get from Power Rangers Samurai. Well, no, I mean, I've got this, and this, of course, but, you know, these aren't really from Power Rangers Samurai, they're just marketed in the toy line. So I don't think that those really count as toys from Power Rangers Samurai. The point is, right now this is looking to be the only toy from Power Rangers Samurai I'm planning to get, and, you know, I might as well just comment on it while I can. Very, 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 very satisfying toy. It's simple, but the design of it, and certainly the auto transformation and how things are activated, just makes a very, very nice, well wrapped up little package. And cheap, too. It's only $30. I mean, if we had to import something like this directly from Japan, if it was made in Japan and it had whatever it is that they had planned for Samurai Sentai Shinken-Oh, I'm not saying they did, if this had been imported from Japan, it probably would have been like $50 or $60. You know, the yen to dollar rate in 2011 is horrendous for collectors. But this thing is not so complex that it would be very expensive to import, but on the other hand, it's not so simple that I would be willing to consider it a bootleg or a ripoff or just another Bandai America product. You know what? This is a very cool Bandai America product. I haven't really said that for many years now. As a matter of fact, the last Bandai America toy that I praised, let alone bought, was the Transforming Fury Megazord set, which was just absolutely stunning. It's been a few years since I did the review for this, 3 years actually, but this was the last original Bandai America for Power Rangers only toy that I really got into, that I really, really liked. So yeah, it has been known to happen, even though I've more or less abandoned Power Rangers at this point. So when I say this is good, it really had to stick out. And you know what? It is very, very cool, very awesome, very sweet, very badass. You know what? I can't complain about that. It's the size of it, it's the functionality, it's a whole bunch of things that makes the Samurai Mega Blade work. And so I'm putting very, very, very high recommendations into this thing. It's cheap, but it's not poor quality at all. I got one or two little picks about it, but again, those are little picks about it. Definitely get the Samurai Mega Blade while you can. It's very much worth it. And so, this is Ava Unit 4A for CollectionDX.com, signing off.